Hello everyone, my name is Mohab Sherif. I'm 16 years old. I'm originally from Egypt, but currently living in Canada, and I'm a climate activist. I'm passed on to Joy.
Okay, my name is Joy and I'm also 16. I'm from Fridays for Future Malaysia. So today I will be the host for today's interview. So what was your first thought when you read the IPCC recent report?
Okay, so first of all, the last IPCC, as we all have seen, was so worrying and alarming at a very high rate, and sometimes like after that time, I couldn't like even read it. So Um, I was kind of expecting it because I am observing the world from the outside. Like this report is just like a summary of what's happening, but what's happening is even bigger than the report itself. So as we have seen in the last 2 years, or more than that, in the last decade, we have seen like wildfires, hurricanes at a regular rate, and all those natural disasters. And the IPCC came just to not like confirm it, just to tell us that like we are way past the point where we can do action to like stop it immediately. We have to do lots of effort, we have to do lots of work during the time.
Yes, that's so true. So when you read the report, what caught your eyes most about it? Like what really grabbed your attention about the report?
The thing that grabbed my attention, the thing was the irreversible tipping point. And like, if we compare the last IPCC and this IPCC, you can see that there are lots of things that have changed in the report, like lots of irreversible to a millennia of like constant warming. That's very alarming. And the thing is, it's like a very, very small gap between the two reports. So it shows how humans are not like all humans, because as we all know, not all humans are contributing to the climate crisis. It's just like big corporations and people who are really contributing, especially global north countries. I'm talking about those people. I'm not talking about, for example, the people in Maba, where they are already suffering and trying to cope with the climate crisis, and they are on the front line. They didn't contribute it. They don't even contribute it in like any way. So I'm talking about the corporations. It's their sole responsibility to respond to the climate crisis, and they should hear from the people on the front line.
Definitely. So nowadays, we hear a lot of news and issues about people suffering from climate anxiety, and I'm sure this is pretty common amongst climate activists as well. So, what advice can you give to everyone who's suffering from this anxiousness?
For me, as a person who like was suffering from this for like a while, I could say that take a break when it's needed. You cannot do everything in the entire world, and don't get affected by that. Like try to take a break, meditate, and explore like the positive energy from that stress. Actually, when you take a break, you can turn this stress to an energy to find new ideas, to find new great things to do after break. Don't just like burn out yourself and lose everything you have done so far. Your health matters after all, your mental health especially. And in climate activism and education world and all those great uh, groups around the world, that you can find that many times you are even more than climate activists. Together we're friends and family. So if you need any help, you can talk with your friends, see what you can, when you can take a break, or even talk about like how to relax and stuff. Because this is a beautiful thing about the climate activist community, that we tend to be more of a family, and we see lots together. So definitely that's a thing to do. And for me especially, I do like reading books all the time, and I'm also like an athlete, so I do swimming. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we all know that 1.5 degrees is like the limit that we're not trying to reach because we know that Even a small change of temperature could cause massive destruction on our planet. So how do you think we can reduce emissions to stay well below 1.5 degrees?
Yeah, so it's a very very important topic to talk about emissions, but if we look at it,
Yes.
it's like very like big, and people need to understand it more from essence, not just like individual actions, because companies are misleading when they do that. They are greenwashing people and telling them to do individual actions while they continue to do the, to do the disastrous thing they're doing to the people at the front line. As I mentioned before, that if we listen to the people in the front line, actually the reduction in emissions would immediately happen, because we are listening to the people in the front line. The people that are seeing the crisis every day, and the companies that are doing that. When we listen to the people front line, we're gonna hear that they're telling us that the companies are doing that. So if we listen to them, companies are gonna get out of those plans, because for example, Shell. Shell is one of the biggest polluters across the world. It's affecting many places like the Niger Delta and all those places. So if we listen to the people there, they're gonna tell us the real story behind it, and the reduction of emissions will happen immediately if we listen to them and respect their ideas and go for it. Because if we don't help each other in this world, then how are we going to get out of this crisis if we don't listen to the people in front line and respect each other? And yeah, so it's also like think about it. The, no, I lost my point. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's all. We can just go ahead to the next question. So, according to the IPCC recent report, do you think individual actions could still help in mitigating the climate change?
Um, Not all individual actions, but the thing is, we as a person have seen how companies use this by saying do that and do that, and they run away by saying that. Actually, not all people can do individual actions in terms of the climate crisis. That's the thing to also say. For example, in Egypt, we are a country that doesn't even contribute that much to the climate crisis, or zero contribution to the climate crisis, because we are suffering there from catastrophic impacts from that. Like, for example, northern Egypt, where I've seen floods and we have seen storms, and in some areas in Egypt, because of companies we are facing like air pollution. So these types of things, people in these areas actually are not contributing that much already. So when you talk about individual action, yeah, okay, plastic, reduce plastic, and all those three things, yeah. But if we reduce plastic and we, for example, try to reduce our carbon footprint, as companies say it, then okay, we did that, but the companies are still doing like time that by 50 times. So it's important that we focus more on systematic change, because if we focus on the individual change, the thing is the system is gonna create another thing to lure humans into to lure like not all humans, just the people that are contributing to the climate crisis to more things, and they are gonna see more individual action and still run away from the systematic action. So it's not always individual actions that will solve the problem of this crisis. We have to see who is really the contributor in the crisis.
Yes, I agree with you. Okay, so we all know that so-called world leaders, I mean, some of them, are responsible for the planet's destruction. So if you could meet any of them, who would it be, and what would you like to say to them?
For me, it's mainly global north leaders, and especially people like President Biden, where this country is contributing to many exploitation of the land across the world. Like, for example, the US military, for example, like takes over regions for resources, and that's directly contributing to the climate crisis, a crisis of inequalities and a crisis of injustices. So I would like tell them to they really need to know how to coexist with across the world and know what is the real meaning of coexistence, not just come to destroy the land and then you tell them to force them to coexist with you. It doesn't work that way. This is their land and this is their home and you can do that. And the leaders that, for example, in North America and across the world, there are also indigenous groups who are facing for trouble from like pipelines and all this very crazy stuff. Um, we are losing connection with the people on the front line and we are not listening to them. And this is an important thing to for the world leaders to consider. If you are not listening to all the people, especially the people on the front line, then how we are going to solve this crisis. Every human has a role in this, in a role and a unique character and ideas to solve the crisis. If we don't listen to all the people, especially the people who are seeing it on daily basis, as I told you, the people, for example, in the Philippines are facing like typhoons and cyclones, and the people in my country and region are facing lots of other catastrophes. And if you don't listen to those people, how can you expect to solve the crisis? And to, to understand the climate crisis in the first place and to work towards solutions, this will lead the work towards true resolutions, not like, for example, as many suggest, which is something that I'm, as an activist, sometimes I get scared of, for example, nuclear solution. I've obviously seen how nuclear solution could destroy the planet even more, and climate capitalism obviously will lead to more exploitation of the land, which means it will not solve the climate crisis. After all, it will also keep the climate crisis continuing to an extent which is damaging to the world and the people. And you didn't solve anything. You're just like stopping something with something worse. So it's not gonna stop if we keep if world leaders the first hand keeping keeping ignoring the people in the front line and embracing lands, for example, like many lands in like the North Swana region, like Southwest Asia, when you have like people, the military steal land and stuff.
Yes, that's so true. So, do you think there's still hope for us to slow down the changing climate?
Exactly. So actually, there will be always hope because there are still people out there who are kind, and they have. I remember that I saw this like documentary in the Japanese media before about a person in Zanzibar. This guy had a family of many members, and he needed the water to like drink from it, but he shared it after all, even though all the family members needed it. He shared it after all with his neighbors because they also needed it. You see that there are always kind people out there, and there are always good people out there. They are the people that we should learn from beautiful lessons and try to be kind toward one another. And actually many people around there are not even mentioned and they're already like doing good things and kind things to the world. There will always be hope as long as we try to push for like kindness, peace, justice. All those things will always be there and will surely be the greedy people who are trying to oppress the people and destroy our planet. So together, I'm sure that if we have a kind heart, we can surely make the impossible possible.
Yes, I totally agree with you. So, this interview had been amazing, but before we really end it, I have one last question. What is your message to all the activists who are fighting for climate justice out there?
Mm, yeah, actually, I would like to give a special recognition to the people I work with, and especially the people from, for example, Climate Strike Canada and FFF Digital, because they have helped me so much in the climate activism world. They always give me hope, and I am sending all the support to all the people out there who are fighting for a better future and climate justice. And I believe that together, when we are trying hard for new generations and generations to come. So together, united and believing with a good heart, as I mentioned before, we can surely make the impossible possible. Nothing could stop that. We can try hard in this generation and we cannot see the result, but surely in one generation our roots of patience and kindness are gonna grow and lead to great things beyond like our imagination. We just have to keep it and never give up, because simply as I said, there are people out there who don't know the meaning of impossible.
Yeah, I love that. So I guess this is officially the end. Thank you so much, Mohab, for um, giving your time to, be in this interview with us. Friday Future Malaysia team is really grateful to you, and we hope to work with you again in the future.